webinar. It's titled Using ACR Registries for PQRS Participation. Just wanted to cover a few housekeeping items before we get started. All attendees are attending today's webinar in listen-only mode. We will have a question and answer session following today's presentations. We do encourage you and invite you to submit questions via the chat panel, via the question panel, my apologies, via the question panel on your screen, and our staff here will tally up the responses. One additional, I just want to make note that we still have a number of attendees still joining the call, but while you wait, you can take time to download handouts. We provided 3 handouts for your convenience. You may download them to your computer. One is the QCDR participation checklist, and we also have 2 PDFs of our measure list that you can use for PQRS participation. We will begin in about a minute. Thanks. So I just failed to introduce myself during the brief introductions. My name is Alicia Blakey. I have spoken probably to many of you who have called wanting to know more information about PQRS or using our registries. So that's the essence for today's talk. We'll go ahead and get started. So here's what we plan to cover today. We will recap the 2015 QCDR participation and lessons learned. Everyone may not be aware, but since 2014, the ACR has been approved by CMS to use the Qualified Clinical Data Registry for PQRS participation. And so now 2016 is our 3rd year where we're entering into that program. So we have a little bit of tips that we want to share with you to help you be successful. We'll also discuss the overview of the 2016 PQRS reporting requirements, methods for selecting measures and registries most relevant to your practice, review high-level QCDR process, resources, and submitting data, and then next steps and considerations for using a QCDR. During this presentation, just one caveat, we will be using a lot of acronyms. So the QCDR stands for the Qualified Clinical Data Registry, but we will be covering that in subsequent slides. So in order to engage our attendees, we want to take time and actually, even though you guys are in listen-only mode, we want to get a sense of what your reporting mechanism was for 2015. Did you submit via claims or registry or EHR or none of the above? Say this may be your first time even paying attention to the PQRS program. So we are going to we're going to go ahead and launch the poll now. We're going to allow a few seconds to tally the results. And in essence, while we're asking this question, we want to get a sense of the audience participation. We know not everyone is familiar with the registry process. You may have just been submitting claims for all prior years, and so we want to make sure we gather that information today. So today, it looks like we're evenly split. It looks like a majority of you have been participating in the PQRS program, so we are excited about that, over 80%. It looks like it's evenly split between submitting via claims and registry. We do have a few individuals who have indicated the EHR, to use your electronic health record to participate in PQRS. And so with these results, we want to go ahead and give you just some more insight into how to use the QCDR registry and make the most. I think it's important that we actually spend time, excuse excuse us while we close the poll results. Thank you. Our poll is now closed. Thank you all for your participation while we engage you actively. Want to spend some time looking at the 2015 QCDR participants. In essence, the main goal of using a registry is so that we can submit your PQRS measure data to CMS on your behalf. We collect this information throughout the entire reporting year, and we collect information for both your individual NPIs, which is the National Provider Identification Number, and also your TIN, the physician group TIN, where the doctor actually reads. So for 2015, we had over 442 participants submit their measured data to CMS, and this is a huge jump. In 2014, which was our first year, we had about 200 participants, and of those participants, not everyone wanted to submit their information to CMS, and so this is a huge improvement and progress showing that more people are looking to registries to meet their PQRS reporting needs. Let's also spend some time looking at that. Based on that TIN and NPI combination, a majority, almost close to approximately 80% of our participants were actually successful in meeting the 9 measures across 3 domains. We get several calls of, for our specialty, for radiologists, it may be hard to achieve the 9 measures or even up to 3 domains, and so we were actually excited with the QCDR option because we give the participants real-time feedback and we help them to be successful prior to their submission of data to CMS. So all of you are aware on the line that during the claims process, you actually have to wait about a year before you know whether or not you participated successfully. So using a registry helps scale down that timeline. Just to mention, on this slide, we did have 92 individuals who did not meet the 9 measure across 3 domain requirement. But for QCDR, it's important that we still submit their data to CMS so that CMS can have on record that you actually did attempt to participate in the PQRS program. And just a reminder, if you have any questions about this process, you can submit questions via the question and answer feature on the right-hand side of your screen. So as I mentioned, this is our 3rd year where we're actually a qualified clinical data registry, and we wanted to share just kind of some tips and lessons learned that we've developed over that 3-year time span. Very important, early on, we asked that facilities that are interested in using a registry really identify your team and establish roles really early on in the process. The success of any registry is not managed by one person, but actually a team. We encourage you to, of course, get your physicians involved, your administrative staff, your billing, and of course your IT. Because we're dealing with quality measures, your billing and IT are huge components because they will help aggregate and pull the data from your various practice management systems or even billing companies. And so one additional note that I want to highlight on here for your team is that our registries have the capability to support multiple facilities and multiple physicians reporting under the same tax ID number. So we're asking that facilities, in addition to just your physician viewing their results, we want you to have a physician champion, someone that will lead the effort in communicating the importance of measure development and bringing it to the forefront, especially at your team meetings. Don't want to harp on that too much, but for any facility administrators who are currently using our programs, if you're on the line, you know the importance of using multiple people at your facilities. Secondly, we want to help you select the appropriate registries and research data submission requirements prior to deadlines. This is a huge lesson learned. My colleagues are in the room smiling because ACR has the vast number of menu selection items for you to select databases. We have up to 6 databases that you can actually use to meet your PQRS reporting requirements, so we're going to delve into that in a little bit more detail. But each of those registries has specific measures that can be used for PQRS reporting. So during the registration process, it's not a good practice to just select, I want to do PQRS reporting, but consider the other registries that will help you contribute data to our various databases. We want you, very important, to submit data early and often. Yes, today we're talking about the Physician Quality Reporting System program, and everyone on the line knows that there are negative payment adjustments associated with that program, but you are already doing quality improvement on a daily basis, and so we want to help you get credit for what you're already doing. So use your measures, use your data early on throughout the process so that you can make changes to your practice. Educate your physicians on accessing our physician portal. The physician portal is basically the area where we allow the doctors to select their measures that are available and also to view their exam counts, right? If you have 10,000 CT exams for the entire year, remember we're talking about reporting year, it's important that you do not upload that data and then tell your physician to just look at it one time. We want you to actually view performance and reporting scores periodically. I don't want to harp on this slide for too long, but just one last caveat is that you can contact ACR staff for assistance at any time throughout this QCDR process. We hold individual webinars. We actually have sites. If you're local and in the area, you can actually come to our headquarters, and we've done some hand-on training. So we are your first point of contact if anything seems unclear. So just so that we continue to actively engage you, we are now going to generate a second poll. We want to find out exactly how many of you on the line have actually used our QCDR for 2015 PQRS participation. From our first poll results, we saw that half of you were doing claims and half of you were doing registry, and so we'll be able to get a better sense of how many people actually use the QCDR process. Poll results are coming in. And yes, no, unknown, just while you're telling the results. We have facilities who are part of large systems, and their hospital may actually be contributing data to the QCDR, and the individual physician or that physician staff may not be aware. So that's the reason for the unknown option. If you are a physician group practice and you're working with the hospital may be participating in one of our 6 NRDR registries. So thank you. The poll has actually, I'm looking at the results now. It looks like a majority of you have not participated in our 2015 PQRS reporting. You have not participated in our QCDR, and so that's the reason for this lecture. We want to give a chance to give you a high level of the QCDR process, kind of some benefits and tools and tips to help you meet those PQRS reporting requirements. And thank you to the about 21% of you have indicated that you did use the QCDR for reporting. And so we welcome your feedback or even any insight that you can offer to people who are just beginning this journey down using the registry. So we spent a lot of time recapping 2015 PQRS, but now we are in 2016. We've actually passed the first quarter. And so we just have this nice slide to let you know that CMS has approved the ACR's QCDR product to collect and report performance information for our radiologists, both our radiologists that are individual practices, and also we now have the capability to support groups. Because the majority of you have never used the QCDR before for 2015, we also have highlighted on this slide our resource page, acr.org/QCDR. It gives you a wealth of information about starting your reporting and also getting your physicians engaged throughout the process. Next, I want to spend some time because in our, as I mentioned, the National Radiology Data Registries has a menu of registry options or databases that you can select that can actually report directly into the QCDR and help you meet your PQRS reporting requirements. I'm going to go ahead and show you. So NMD, the Dose Index Registry, Lung Cancer Screening, and GRID, all of these registry options on this screen have measures that can be reported to the PQRS program. So for individuals who indicated that they didn't know if they participated in a QCDR or not, if you are familiar with any of these acronyms or have seen it in passing or heard it at meetings, you may actually be participating in the QCDR. Just want to highlight under NMD, the National Mammography Database, we do have certified software partners that help sites actually collect their data, and they can help the radiology practice submit data in various formats. It could be a web service, it could be an upload feature, and so although on this slide I only mentioned the NMD software vendors, we're starting to actually approve additional vendors to help sites like yourself participate in not only PQRS, but in the various registries for quality improvement. So just off the top of my head, for the Dose Index Registry and the Lung Cancer Screening, we do have approved vendors. They will be listed on our site. I will not name them on this public webinar, but you can visit our QCR website and you can download their information if you're if you feel like you need help getting us your data. It's a good resource. So we talked about participation in PQRS in general using the QCDR, but let's look at highlights of registries by the numbers. So each of our databases, we are showing you on this slide that a list of active participants and facilities as well as total who are using our services. The NRDR registries have been in existence since 2008. So although PQRS, we just started reporting in 2014, you guys have already been submitting. We've been collecting data and actually reporting that data back to you. You will see from this list that we have two of our kind of primary registries that have high utilization is the Dose Index Registry, and that's related to CT exams. And also the Lung Cancer Screening Registry. Just in 2015, we launched this registry to help providers and facilities meet the CMS requirement. And so, as you can see, the ACR is kind of staying at the forefront of registries and also helping our members meet the reporting requirements and improve patient outcomes. I just wanted to go ahead and transition because we need to talk about kind of what are the PQRS reporting requirements. If you submitted via claims, you know that there is a 9-measure across 3 domain requirement for at least 50% of your patients. That is accurate and also holds true for using a QCDR. Each facility must consider reporting 9 measures covering 3 domains for 50% of all of the provider's patients, and that's including, by patients we mean both Medicare and non-Medicare patients. And that's seen during the participation period. I got a lot of calls because I'm kind of like the first point of contact for our 2015 QCDR, and we got a lot of calls with people unsure of how much data they actually needed to submit us for their patients. And so just to reiterate that it's a calendar year for reporting to the PQRS program, so January 1 through December 31st of every year. The next bullet is reporting on at least 2 outcome measures. QCDR has the ability to create both PQRS and non-PQRS measures. You can report either a combination of those measures and submit it to CMS on your behalf. I want everyone on this call to know that our non-PQRS measures, which are developed by ACR and supportive only to our radiologists, all of them are outcome measures except one. So the outcome measures shouldn't be a huge determinant on whether or not you decide to select the registry. Just one important note, if you do not have 2 outcome measures, there is an opportunity for you to submit at least 1 outcome measure. and an outcome measure that falls under another category of, say, for example, cost and efficiency use. CMS is transitioning from fee-for-service to value, and so we understand the need for the outcome measures, and we can help you achieve that. This last bullet, new for 2016, very important, very exciting, that for 2016, our QCDR can support participation of groups. Group practices can now use the QCDR to meet the PQRS reporting requirements. This was not the case in 2015. Each of our participants actually use the registry based on individual MPIs. And so just want to let you all know that although we could not support for 2015, 2016, you have the opportunity to do that. On the next slide, we're going to delve in a little bit more about the group practice reporting option. We're really excited about this option. I'm just going to reiterate again. Groups can now choose to report using the QCDR. Very, very important. There's a lot of words on this slide, but I'm going to try to make it as simple as possible. All of the reporting requirements that we just looked at on the previous page of the 9 measures across 3 domains, that same reporting requirement is applicable to a group. The only difference is that instead of each of your individual providers finding 9 measures across 3 domains, your entire group can get credit for the PQRS program for reporting at least 50% of the group's applicable patients. So that should be, I know if I had you guys off mute, I think I would hear a lot of cheers and applause, because we feel here that with this group practice reporting option, it's helping out providers that are not able to find 9 measures across 3 domains, but are doing really good work and should get credit for what they're reporting. We would invite you, in order to report as a group, you just have to have 2 or more eligible providers select the same tax ID number for reporting your Medicare Part B services. So I'll say that again. You just need 2 or more EPs billing to using the same TIN number, billing for Medicare Part B services, and you would qualify as a group. There is an application process that CMS has been publicly sending out via listservs and on their website. If anyone in your practice, yes, you've been reporting via claims or you've been reporting as an individual provider, you have the opportunity to report as a group. And the group is the GPRO, using the GPRO reporting option. You have until June 30th. June 30th is the deadline to fill out that online application with CMS. And we actually have, because this is a new reporting option for 2016, we actually have a nice resource on our website, the QCDR site, that explains the benefits of reporting as a GPRO. We outline the reporting requirements not only for the PQRS program, but as you may be also aware, the volume modifier program has implications for negative payment adjustments. And so we want you to consider that option. For the individuals who've used our QCDR for 2015 reporting, PQRS is an annual process, so by any means, you still have the opportunity to use our registries and report as a group. We will, over the next few weeks, we'll be developing functionality to allow both new and existing registry users to manage all of your physicians under a particular physician group tax ID number. So just wanted to give an extra plug to that. So we spent a lot of time, and I do encourage each of you to visit our website and download the guidance on benefits of using a QCDR. We actually give you resources to help you fill out that online application that I mentioned with CMS. I'm oversimplifying it, but we've tried to give you the tools necessary to do that, and you have until June 30th. So now I want to transition, because we've received a lot of questions for 2015 and just in general about using a QCDR. Just so that everyone's aware on the line, there are multiple registry reporting options that you can use in order to meet PQRS reporting requirements. You can use a QCDR, and you can also use a qualified registry. One qualified registry of choice that you may or may not be familiar with is the PQRS Wizard. And so on this slide, I just wanted to give you a snapshot. You can look through it after this webinar to give you a snapshot of the capabilities of both of the registries and kind of what the red stop means, kind of what that registry cannot support. So I'll just highlight a few. Obviously, for using the QCDR, we can support PQRS measures. We do support non-PQRS measures as well because those are developed by your college and supported by your radiologist under your specialty. We do support individual measures as well as we have the ability to support PQRS group practices as well. Two important points that I want to highlight on this screen is that the MAV process, that's the Measures Applicability Validation process. That process is instituted by CMS. It helps determine if a provider has less than 9 measures, they could avoid a negative payment adjustment. I'm not spending a lot of time on it because I want everyone to know that if you participate in the QCDR, the MAV process is not applicable. We're going to go through this later, but we have over 60 measures that you can select from for reporting for PQRS. So we don't foresee that any of our providers will have a problem meeting the 9 measures across 3 domains. And then the second point I want to highlight here is the cross-cutting measure requirement. That cross-cutting measure requirement is not applicable to anyone who's using a QCDR. If you are using a QCDR, and even if you report or have face-to-face encounters with your patients, you will not be subject to the new cross-cutting measure requirement. That cross-cutting measure requirement began in 2015, and so if you're using our QCDR, you do not have to worry about it, but do note that if you use another qualified registry of some sort, you would be required to meet that measure requirement. One last point that I just want to point out is that, as I mentioned earlier in our lessons learned, ACR staff is here to provide you personalized consultations, and we give you ongoing feedback via email, feedback via physician feedback reports on your registry participation, as well as helping you, make the most of using the registry. So we are here, we are your resource. There is a stop under the qualified registries. I do believe that they have that same capability, but I don't believe it's as personalized as it can be. There are over 300 plus PQRS measures in the program, and so our radiologists, we are the experts in knowing what you should report based on what modalities or areas that you commonly practice in. We're going to move on. And please do remember to submit questions. Remember, this is just a high-level overview. We're going to delve in a little bit deeper for people who are interested in using the QCDR and have not before. This is how you get started. There's 3 kind of main steps that you should consider. 1, look at the measures that you want to report. Most of you have participated via claims. Those same measures that you submitted via claims is also available using a registry. Using your registry, you have the opportunity to view all of your information per facility, per physician, per group, and so why not have it all in one area? If you're interested in using the QCDR, we do ask that you complete an online new facility registration form. It'll help you obtain a facility ID, and this is basically for tracking purposes. We have multiple facilities reporting or submitting data to us, and so we want to be sure that we track you accordingly. So that facility ID not only helps you gain access to the site, but it also helps us communicate with you better. I include the web link for anyone who wants to learn more about the registries or want to learn more about registering, nrdr.acr.org. And then we also, I'm just going to, one more plug for the website is that you want to learn more about registration, data submission, report generation, you can view our educational material online. So now that we've covered kind of the groundwork on how to use the QCDR, what are some of the best steps, you're probably asking yourself, how much does all this cost? So we're going to just very quickly discuss costs of participating in our QCDR, you will see that there is a difference in registration price based on, not registration, your PQRS reporting fee. My apologies. There is a difference in price. If you are an ACR member, it's only $199 per physician per year. And for 9 members, it's slightly increased to $499 per physician per year. So you see your member dollars working for you in this slide. In addition, I just want to mention the PQRS reporting fee is a one-time fee, and it's normally paid when we're ready to submit your data to CMS. In addition to this PQRS reporting fee, we do have NRDR participation fees, and that's basically for you signing up for your various registries. There's a first-time fee of $500 per site, and then there's an annual fee that's based on the number of radiologists and also number of facilities that are submitting data and using our respective registries. If you're in more than one registry, that does not increase your price, so don't be scared of that. Just to give you a sense of how much this annually cost us for most of our radiologists, I think we averaged that for most of our products, we saw for our radiology practices, it costs anywhere between $1,000 to $2,000 per year. So that's a nominal fee, and just wanted to share that information on today's webinar. If you're interested in the QCDR registration or participation, go ahead, take a look at our website. You can get to any registry page, any database page. As you can see on the right-hand side of your screen, in the middle we have different resources, how to use it. We give you information on how to avoid a negative payment adjustment. That is our ultimate goal. But most importantly, we want you to use the registry for quality improvement, because you get real-time data at your fingertips at the point of care. We outline benefits of using the QCDR and then available measures for reporting and how to submit the data. So this call is only an hour, so we don't have a lot of time to spend on each of these items, but I wanted you to be aware of where the resources are. Just really quickly, this is just a snapshot of resources that we have to help you participate. We have I won't read this list to you because everyone is capable of seeing the resources for themselves, but two main resources that we highly recommend is using the QCDR participation checklist. So this area right here that I'm using on my screen, as well as our we have user guides for each of our registries. So if you want to do NRDR, we have a user guide for that, and also for the PQRS physician portal. So now that we've kind of talked about benefits of the registry, costs of the registry, we want to go ahead and transition to how do we identify our measures. Remember, under how to get started, I said the first thing is considering your measures. So under QCDR, we have the opportunity to submit both PQRS and non-PQRS measures. Just to give you a quick snapshot that we can support, we have about 65 measures that can be reportable through using a QCDR. 41 of those are available through the PQRS program, and those are the traditional PQRS measures that have been in existence since 2007. And then we have the non-PQRS category, and those are the registry-specific measures that are applicable just to radiologists. So we want you to pay attention to that 24, because we think it'll help you in meeting the PQRS reporting requirements, especially with having over 65 measures to select from. Each of our measures is actually listed on our website under available measures for reporting. Some of you may be familiar with this document that I'm showing on your screen, but this is a list of our PQRS measures. PQRS is an annual process, and measures may have changed. The reporting of that measure is very much tied to the specifications that are outlined on what codes are specific, how to report the measure, what's considered performance met, performance not met. So this is a snapshot of that. And as you can see on all of our measure lists, you will see the domain area as well as the measure type if it's a process or outcome measure. Very important, this is just a snapshot. If you go to our website, you can download the information. I believe we provided the measure list as handouts for you, so you have access to that information. For the non-PQRS supported measures, this is just a snapshot of what you will, what you can see if you visit our website or download your handouts on the side. You can see the measure, you can see what the measure description is, as well as the NQS domain, the measure type, whether or not it's outcome or process. As I mentioned earlier, non-PQRS measures, the majority of them are outcome-based measures. We also, most importantly, tell you which NRDR database you should select. Remember in the beginning, we have 6 different registries that you can select from. Each database has a set of measures, and these measure lists help you navigate that system. Let's just spend time looking at the non-PQRS supported measures a little bit and more in depth. Each registry is outlined here in your first column. We show you what measure numbers. So I got a lot of calls and they're like, I want to report ACR 7, 15, and 16. And so I have my little cheat sheet that I keep at my desk, and I decided let me share it more broadly in a graphical display to show you how many measures are available if you're in a given registry. So as you can see, the DIR, the NMD, and the GRID registries all have 6 measures, up to 6 measures that you can select for PQRS reporting. Of course, those decisions is based on what the physician actually does, the service he provides, and what he bills Medicare for. So this just gives you a snapshot. I promise you, this totals up to 24 non-PQRS measures. I did not add the total, but you get a sense of what registries offer and how many measures. Also for this slide, for your convenience, when you're going back, we give you a snapshot of kind of what the high priority are for each of the databases. So just for the grid, I'll point that out, is that most of those exams or measures are related to report turnaround time and by specific modalities, so PET, CT, MRI, and mammography. So that's one of our highly utilized data registries. Spent a lot of time talking about selecting 9 measures across 3 domains, right, for the PQRS reporting requirements. I just wanted to give you a breakdown in this slide. The National Quality Strategy domain areas is a fancy way of how CMS categorizes each of our measures. You looked, we had 65 total measures, and so each category, the number on your screen represents how many PQRS and non-PQRS measures are available by that specific domain area. So you can see our top domain areas are patient safety and effective clinical care. We have a lot of measures under those categories, as well as communication and care coordination. So I've spent a lot of time talking, kind of giving you the background. I wanted to actually show you a resource or a tool that we created to kind of help practices or even the physician find 9 measures across 3 domains. Whether you're reporting as an individual or a group, this is a requirement that's shared amongst those 2 reporting options. The spreadsheet that I'm referring to is the QCDR measure selection tool. This spreadsheet is a tool for QCDR participants who may need assistance in identifying measures and domains to meet the PQRS reporting requirements. And so I'm actually going to spend some time, it's in an Excel template, and we're going to spend some time looking at it, and already built in kind of 4 scenarios, and so we're going to spend some time looking at that together. I'm going to expand my screen. So I will not spend a lot of time going over the instructions for how to use the tool, but just please note that you're going to use this tool to identify measures that you could report. Some of the characteristics of identifying the appropriate measures is looking at which modality you practice in. If you do CT, let's look at measures that are available under the CT category. Right now we have developed so that you can report measures or select measures at the physician level, but we've also modified the tool so that you can now select if you want to do group reporting as well. So let me just scroll through this very briefly, is that we give you instructions for kind of each step of those processes. We've already spent an immense amount of detail on what measures are available, which databases the ACR holds that can support the QCDR. So we're going to tab over to the second tab, which is the 2016 NRDR measures. So some of you may be familiar with these names on the screen. It is presidential election season, and so I've decided that we should all take time to help our presidential candidates find 9 measures across 3 domains appropriate for reporting. Just to set the stage, I'll just give you, we're not going to spend a lot of time with this, so I want to set the stage. For Donald Trump, he participates in our dose index registry as well as our grid registry. His primary modality that he focuses on is CT. So because he does dose index registry in the grid, he has these measures that are available to him just based on him doing CT exams. So Donald Trump has decided, okay, let me enter my physician group 10 because he's considering that he may actually want to not keep meeting his 9 measure 3 requirements. Everybody in his group should get some credit for the measures that they report. So just in essence, how you use the tool is you enter the doctor's name, you enter the doctor's physician group 10 number. This is a made-up number because this is a live broadcast. We give you the list of measures that are available. Correct, you will see the measure numbers. You can select yes or no under each measure option. For the sake of time, I went ahead and selected measures that Donald Trump would like to report. Although Donald Trump participates in CT and he does CT exams and he participates in 2 of our registries, we actually make available all modality areas. So the lung cancer screening registry, we have measures that are also applicable to CT, but Donald Trump did not sign up for the lung cancer screening, so we can't select those measures. Just keep scrolling. We have mammography. We have diagnostic radiology. Most of you know these measures from the PQRS program. These measures should look very familiar to you because most of you have been reporting via claims or registry. And so in essence, if you continue to tab over, you'll see the different modality areas. And at the bottom of at the last kind of few columns, we tell you how many measures, how many domains, and whether or not you meet the PQRS requirements. This is a tab that's actually auto-populated, so as you select yes or no, it filters out for you. And so we can see from here that Donald Trump actually only has 8 measures, 2 domains. Not a trick question, will he meet the PQRS reporting requirements? As an individual provider, he would not meet the reporting requirements. Under the summary, so we said we know we have a lot of measures. Everyone knows we have 65 measures that you can use in the QCDR. So we've decided to create a summary tab that allows you to see each of your physicians, what group they are a part of, and how many total measures. How many total measures and how many total domains that they've selected. As a reminder, this tool is used for you during the process of finding measures that you want to report. Each measure as well as the database that owns that measure can help you, fill out your register for the QCDR, and you know exactly what databases that you want to participate in because you've already looked at what measures are available. So just really quickly, and we don't have to spend a lot of time with this, but Donald Trump, he could also consider, in order to get that 3rd domain, right, 3rd domain or 1 additional measure, under the PQRS program, there is a measure number 436, that is, sorry, I'm looking for it, it's under diagnostic radiology. Give me a second. Number 436, radiation consideration for adult CT, utilization of dose-lowering techniques. Donald Trump is a smart man. He has a policy for managing his patient's dose. So I think that he should select this measure to complete his 9-measure 3-domain requirement if he is an individual provider. So as you can see, as you populate yes or no, you will see the domain type. He's been using patient safety and communication and care coordination, I believe, and so now his 3rd domain is in effect. So now you notice that the last column, which is does the QCDR meet the PQRS reporting requirements for this doctor, it changed from no to yes. Now, because it's a presidential election, we have Democrats versus Republicans. So we can also take this example and look at the importance of reporting as a physician or reporting as a group. Very quickly, Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders are not on the same team. We know this because they each bill Medicare for different tax ID numbers. So if we look at Donald Trump and Ted Cruz individually, Donald Trump can meet that requirement, but he doesn't want to forget about Ted Cruz, his forerunner, because he's a part of that tax ID number also, and that tax ID number is how CMS analyzes whether or not you met the requirements. So Ted Cruz only has less than 9 measures, and he has 3 domains, but he doesn't meet the reporting requirement as an individual. If these 2 doctors decided to participate in the new group practice reporting option, they would meet these requirements. Hope having a snapshot of kind of some of the resources that we developed to assist you during this process will help you feel better about the QCDR process. The next few slides we're just going to go through very quickly. We have a high-level QCDR process. It's a 4-step process. We've covered most of this groundwork already. View the available measures for reporting, select your registries. Most importantly, we cannot participate in a physician quality reporting program if we don't know which physicians want to use our registries. So you will need to add your physicians to our registries, and all that information is found on our NRDR website at www.acr.org/NRDR. You will also need to give us your tax ID number. My apologies. You will also need to give us your tax ID number. As we looked at the measure selection tool, it's the NPI, the physician is very important, as well as their tax ID number that they report to, they bill Medicare for. And then we want to start submitting your measure data for PQRS reporting is the last step of that process. Just some additional resources to help you actually participate and be successful in our program. We discussed a high-level timeline. And so we actually have a QCDR participation checklist that's available on your screen under handouts. You can download this. We give you step-by-step instructions how to add your physicians, how to add your physician group 10. There are participation agreements that you need to sign if it's your first time using our registry. And also, if you participated in 2014 or 2015 prior years, you have separate steps that you need to complete to be sure that we get your 2016 data. The question on everyone's mind should be, how do I submit this data? Well, data is submitted depending on the type of measure. So if you have PQRS measures, we ask that you submit this data via an Excel template. And then for non-PQRS measures, it really is dependent on which registry you signed up for. For today's talk, we don't have time to go into specific details, but I did include a nice data submission table that we have on our website that actually helps you through what data submissions we support if you need to download software, if you need to upload files, or if you actually are participating with a vendor. We actually have electronic transmission instructions for using web-based services. And this is a hyperlink that you can use. The PowerPoint presentation as well as the recording of today's webinar will be available within a week. Just some benefits of using the QCDR. You have a greater potential to meet the 9.3 requirement. We have over 65 measures. You are not only participating in a registry, you not only participate in PQRS, but also the volume modifier, meaningful use, and also the new MIPS program that will be beginning in 2019. For the sake of this lecture today, we were not covering the new MIPS program, but we will have webinars in the future to cover that information. And then most importantly on this slide, and I won't cover all this detail because you'll have it with you at your fingertips, feedback. Feedback is very important. All the participants participating in our registry receive quarterly benchmark reports. They include national benchmarks and comparisons of your providers or your facilities against other registry users. As I mentioned, we submit QCDR feedback reports 4 times a year. These reports are at the individual physician level as well as the facility level, and it helps you kind of look at your performance rates prior to your submission to CMS. And then physicians can review, of course, any of the measures and authorize us to whether or not you want to select or deselect measures for participation in PQRS. This is just a quick snapshot, the QCDR reports and kind of when the reports will actually be released. So for Q1, just a note is that the data collection period for that was January through March, and the reports will be issued in May, and you have the rest of the times available to you. This is just a quick sample of the dose index registry report. It's related to CT exams, as we saw in our measure selection tool demo, and so you can see your facility as well as all DIR participants. Anybody who's in the DIR, you can see their percent and means looking at their CT exams. We also have just a snapshot of kind of the GRID registry. As I mentioned, GRID is related to measures that are reporting turnaround time, and so you can see data that was submitted. You can see your performance measures, your means, and standard deviations. So just really quick, 2 seconds, we want to spend some time on next steps and considerations for using the QCDR. This is going to sound very repetitive because you guys have been paying attention throughout this entire webinar. You must first decide if you want to participate as an individual provider or as a group. We can support either mechanism. View the available measures. Using the QCDR, you can report both PQRS and non-PQRS measures to help you meet that 9-measure requirement. We have, as I mentioned, we have different tools and resources to help you along this process. I've called out specifically our registry and our physician portal user guides because that gives you instructions for submitting data and kind of getting your physicians to look at their performance. And then most importantly, most of you are on today's webinar because you paid attention to our website or you saw email communication from our team. We want to be more strategic in helping you meet this reporting requirement throughout the entire year. We don't want to wait for the submission deadline. Just quick high level, these are some QCDR timelines and key dates. I'm not going to cover all this information. I just want you to be aware that this data submission to any of our registries is a year-long process. So we ask that you make note of these key important timelines. They're also available on your QCDR participation checklist. And then before we wrap up, let's talk about saving the date. It's very important that this will not be our only webinar displaying using the QCDR for 2016. We have some upcoming meetings in a webinar actually scheduled that we want you guys to participate in. Please make note. My apologies. My apologies, I tabbed too soon. Please make note of the key dates. June 10th will be our next webinar from 3 to 4 p.m. on navigating the QCDR for physician group practices. It's new for 2016, so we're going to help you understand that. And then make note of the annual live meetings that we have on this. We have the ACR live meeting coming up in May. And then we also have an annual quality and safety conference that we're going to be hosting September in Boston. So we invite you to stay engaged throughout the process. I think I have a few minutes for question and answer, and so we'll go ahead and get started. If you have any questions that we don't get to today, feel free to contact me via email, specifically ablakey@ACR, or you can reach out to our NRDR email as well, and we'll go ahead and get you taken care of. Thanks again, everyone, for your time, and thank you for actively being engaged.
So we have had a number of questions online, which have been answered online as we go, and I think many of them you got to as part of the presentation. So I'm going to start at the bottom for the questions that haven't quite been answered online.
Okay.
I used QCDR last year. I don't see any 2017 info when I try to complete the registration and it shows 2016. Do I ignore what is there and fill everything out even if nothing has changed and save or submit?
So that's a good question. Actually, the reporting year that we've discussed today is reporting for the 2016 PQRS reporting year. We are building functionality to submit PQRS measures. If you have PQRS measures that you reported for 2015, we are still building functionality to make sure that we have the latest CPT codes for the 2016 measures. But I don't want you to wait at all. Continue, if you have non-PQRS measures, those are the measures that come from the various databases that you're signed up for. Go ahead and continue to submit data to us. You want to just really quick, you want to verify that you have no changes in the number of physicians who are tied to your facilities. You also want to make sure that your tax ID information is updated. When I looked at just a spot check, we do have some individuals who set their TINs to expire January 1, 2017, and we do not want you to do that. We ask that you do not expire any of your TIN information. We ask that you just leave that field blank. So go ahead and still submit your non-PQRS information and know that the functionality for 2016, just the PQRS measures that are available traditionally via claims, we're going to have functionality in probably 2 or 3 weeks. Thank you for your question.
If we do not report on 2 outcome measures, you mentioned reporting on 1 outcome measure, what else would be required?
So on our website we listed, and I didn't want to give too much detail on the webinar, but you can report for any other domain area. So we had the 6 domains, and we had patient safety and communication care coordination. And on our measures list, we list whether the measure is a process or outcome measure. How CMS determines if you don't have 2 outcome measures, you can report 1 outcome measure and then 1 measure that belongs to a specific NQS domain. One of the domains being a high priority NQS domain, which would be cost and efficiency use.
Patient safety or appropriateness of care, and patient experience of care.
And patient experience of care, just repeating. So thank you for that question. And we do have information on the QCDR website on how to avoid the negative payment adjustment. It explicitly lists what the categories should be for if you only have 1 outcome measure.
Very important question. Isn't it too late to report via QCDR for 2016 reporting year if you haven't already signed up with the various registries?
Oh no, heavens no. We would like you, although Q1 is done, you still have time. So and this is a lot in the weeds, but for registries, we have to be approved by CMS to be a registry, and they don't make those decisions until March and April of every year. So actually you're right on target. You still have time to sign up. You can submit, our registries allow you to submit data retrospective to January 1. So please feel free to fill out a new facility registration, and you'll get a facility ID, and start selecting your registries and start selecting your measures, and go ahead and get us data. And then on the slide where we talked about the QCDR feedback reports, you won't get one for Q1, but you will get data for Q2 if you go ahead and submit data between April and June, I believe.
There have been many requests for a copy of the webinar slides. We will post those online.
We will post part of our resources to help you participate. We have a webinars and presentations page. We will link the slide as well as the webinar recording probably by the end of this week. So stay tuned to that. We can send out an email to all participants who are on the line today. That way you don't have to go searching for it on the website. Thanks.
We have continued to submit data as we did last year, but I'm not sure what more I may need to do.
Okay, so this goes to the previous question that we received. Go ahead and check, check if you have no changes in the number of physicians at your facilities or your tax ID has not changed. Go ahead and verify that we're still submitting or we're still receiving. Just for example, you're in the dose index registry. There's a report that you can actually pull online under the NRDR. It's a report that shows you can just specify the date range and show that it'll show you how many exams and information that we're collecting. So you still have more time for the PQRS measures. That functionality is going to be available shortly. But check your physicians, text your tax ID number, and then if you want to add any new registries after hearing this lecture today or any other communication you receive from the ACR, you have the ability to do that.
If we are switching to GPRO for our 5 radiology teams, should we discontinue submitting claims-based reporting for 2016 also? We did both for 2015.
Okay, so that's a more complex question, but because you want to report via GPRO, we would, just as a safe harbor, go ahead and continue to submit your claims for 2016, and then when you're ready to sign up for the registry, or once you get approved by CMS, remember the deadline is not until June 30th, so no one has been notified if they're approved as a GPRO or not. Go ahead and still submit us information, and it's never too late. It's never bad to submit claims and then switch to a registry. I'll just make a note that when you're ready to switch to a registry, make sure that we have a full picture of the entire reporting year. So you would need to resubmit everything that you submitted to claims to the registry. So just keep that in mind. We need the entire reporting year, because CMS doesn't have the capability of looking at half claims and half registry. They will deem you as not participating successfully, and we don't want you to get an unnecessary payment adjustment.
Right. This is actually somebody who has been a participant in the
past. Oh, okay.
So they're good for continuing, but we just want them to kind of have the claims as a backup.
Yes, always have the claims as a backup for anyone else on the call who is kind of trying to bridge the gap of, do I want to leave claims and go all the way to registry or not?
So we are at the top of the hour.
So just one more comment about whether to continue to submit claims. If you are submitting by claims now and then you register for a GPRO, which you should know right away whether you're a GPRO or not, you can stop submitting by claims because they're not going to count.
Thank you for clarifying.
Last question. Can I search for possible measures we can report on by CPT code?
You can search for by CPT codes for PQRS measures using the single source code master. That should be available under the resources page on our PQRS webpage or on the CMS website. But we don't necessarily provide that capability for non-PQRS measures because many of our measures aren't based on CPT codes.
I think that's it. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who took the time to join today's webinar. We'll have the slides and recording to you soon.